Okay, this article had talked about, so you don't need the word has.
Oh, okay.
How, and I added the word how, about how. So about how, and so on.
Oh,
Like you
oh,
didn't have this word before. I added this word.
oh, okay.
So about how, yeah. So the phrase is about how. So it's like, give an example like this
Oh,
essay spoke about like that, or you can about how
oh,
something, or maybe you like this novel or book talked about how one two three about how you can say about when the following phrase is a noun. So for example, if you say this essay spoke about human trafficking, okay, that's one noun, right? Human trafficking is a noun. Okay. But if you want to elaborate and say something about human trafficking, you would say this essay spoke about how human trafficking is very common in Cambodia. You see? So I'm adding a whole phrase with a verb right here. You see, right? Or you can say how human trafficking um what's the right word? Threatens the safety of citizens in Cambodia. Okay. So I'm adding the verb threatens. How, so about how something threatens, something does something. Or for example, if you want to use the word how, you would say, this book talked about um, career success. Okay. But if you wanted to say something more about career success, you might say, you add the word how, about how. About how will then introduce the next thing you're going to say plus a verb, plus an action. So, for example, this novel or book talked about how career success must be fought for, comma, it is never handed to you. It's never free. It is never free. How about that? Okay. Does that make sense? So when I'm describing something more, you add the word how. How. But if you want to just mention one noun about human trafficking, it is about career success. It is about working in Hong Kong or traveling or something. That would be a noun. But if you want to say something more, you say about how, etc. Okay. All right. Good. Let me just pull this over. Okay, good. Here we go. This article talked about how a landmark human. Okay, the thing I want to say about this paragraph is, in the next essay, I would like you to phrase it more in your own words. So, for example, I could see that you wrote it in the third paragraph. I want you to do exactly the same thing when you describe like paragraph A, which is what is this news article about? I want you to put it in your own words instead of copying and pasting.
oh, okay.
That makes sense? Because when what you wrote here about, like over here, the first half, it was a lot of copying and pasting the same words, right? I want you to write in your own words. However,
Okay.
if you want to use some of the same words, you must put it in quotation marks. So for example, like this, quotation marks, like
Oh,
this.
okay.
Okay. Because let me tell you something. There's a thing, I'll write it in your WhatsApp. I might have talked about it before, which is plagiarism. Have you heard of plagiarism, this word?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, plagiarism. Yeah, so in any kind of writing, right? Plagiat. How do you say it? How do you
Plagiat.
plagiat.
Yeah.
That's how you
I know.
plagiat. You know what that is, right?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So you need to avoid, because if you do this in an essay, that's called plagiat. That's called plagiarism, right? Like it's
Oh, okay.
wrong. Something wrong. You shouldn't do that in an essay. That's wrong. Like, for example, when I went to school, when other students plagiarized, they got an F on their report card. F.
Oh,
Like they
okay,
were
okay.
smart. It's called cheating. It's cheating. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So do that. You can't do that. So either your two options are either put it in your own words, even if it sounds simpler, and that's fine. Or if you wanted to quote some parts of the news article, you put it in quotation marks. So the thing in blue, do you see the two things in blue? The quotation marks, okay? All right, so that's fine. I think this is all fine. So we're gonna keep moving on here. But now the obstacles are not easy to fight against. I'm gonna start here. But now the obstacles are not easy to fight against big companies that have large resources like Bumblebee. There is hope after Sari Henrich, a senior advisor to the human rights organization, gave her support and was optimistic that the victims would get the justice they deserve. To be honest, okay, this is part. Okay, this is a part where I now hear from Novi. You see, the top part was more just from copying and pasting. What I want to read is what you write. Does that make sense? The reason is because you don't need to copy and paste here, because I can just read the article myself.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you don't need to copy and paste the exact same thing. I can just read it myself. What I want to know when I'm reading something you write is what you think, like your opinion of it. Does that make sense? So here I hear your voice now. Here's Novi. Boom. To be honest, I am not that surprised by this news because I already know of several cases of Indonesian fishermen dying either from illness or being tortured on foreign fishing vessels, especially in Taiwan and China. Yeah, exactly. This sentence is really good. This is a good sentence. Like, this is well written. Okay, that's good. I learned the news. You can say I learned the news, or you can say I heard the news, or you can say I read the news. That's okay too. Any of these is heard or I read. Actually, no, you can't say I read the news. Sorry. You can't say I heard the news because a YouTuber is you watch a video, right?
Yes.
So you're not reading, you're watching. So maybe I heard the news or learned the news from a YouTuber who specifically provides news about Indonesian citizens working abroad. The latest news is that a fisherman who was on a Taiwanese fishing vessel that docked in Hong Kong suffered from paralysis, but unfortunately the company paid all the hospital bills. But fortunately the company paid all the hospital bills, but the cost of repatriation to Indonesia was not helped. In the end, the Indonesian government in Hong Kong still helped. Okay, so let's work on this sentence here. The reason why I'm confused is for two reasons. Number one, there are two buts, B-U-T, in this sentence. That's why it's kind of confusing. You see the two buts right here?
Yes.
So we're gonna try fixing this here. Let's take this away for a second here. Let's do this. Oops. Okay. Let's just do this. Okay. There's two buts. Let me show it to you. One here and one here. So that confused me, right? Because but the word but, I guess it's the same thing in Indonesian, I imagine, right? It's exactly the same. Right?
Yes.
It's the same, yeah. So the word but, you're trying to say the opposite, right? Or something that's different than what you want to say. So for example, I might say, there was a lot of corruption, or I might say, Novi tells me that there was a lot of corruption in Indonesian history, but it has gotten better. Right? So I'm saying something that's a little bit different. Like, it's not only that there's a lot of corruption, there was a lot, and there still is quite a bit of corruption in Indonesia, but it's getting better, right? So, but then the problem is when you use two buts, right? You're saying but and then but again, it confuses me. So instead, we need to fix the sentence here. Instead, maybe we could say one reason is that because you're using it twice. The latest news, okay, but before, you know what you can do? Instead of using the but here, you can delete this. And then here, we're going to change this to what? Which quotation mark that we always use? Remember that one? What do you, this one? What should we change this mark to? Let's change it. Change it to what? Do you remember what we normally use?
Quotation.
I know it's a semicolon, right?
Oh, yes,
Remember
semicolon.
Remember this one here?
Oh,
Remember
yes, yes.
Semicolon. It is the dot plus a little comma. You see that? The semicolon.
Yes.
Fortunately, comma over here. Whoops. The company paid all the bills, comma, but the cost of repatriation in it was not okay. Let's use a different verb. Not helped, but was not. Is not helped. What do you want to say? You want to say was not.
Only and the company only help the hospital bills, but for repatriation in Indonesia, not paid like that.
Was not paid. Yeah, was not paid. Or I was not paid is fine. That's fine of a word. The other
Oh,
word you could use is a little bit more complicated word is compensated. Was not it's the same word. It means exactly the same thing. Compensated. Here.
oh,
Here. It's the same word in Indonesia.
Kompensasi.
Compensasi. There you go. Right? It's the exact same word, right? Pretty much. Okay. So that's a better word. I shouldn't say better word. I should say it's a more complicated word. It's an adult word, right? Right? Because
Okay.
right. So it's nice to use more complicated words, right? Compensated. In the end, the Indonesian government in Hong Kong helped with the repatriation costs. Yeah. But you don't want to say still though. Still doesn't make
Oh,
sense here. The reason is because
oh yeah.
is
I see.
in the end in the end was in the end you might say in the end it was it was rather like that. It was rather or it was instead. Still doesn't make sense because still the word still means here,
Oh yeah, I see.
right? This is still. So still the word still means that something was happening and it continues to happen. That's what still means, right? So but it
Yes.
doesn't make sense because I would imagine that in this particular case, the Indonesian government only helped once. Like
Yeah.
with the cost of bringing the fishermen back into Indonesia, right? That's what happened, right? Is that right? So that was a
Yes, right.
one-time payment, right? It wasn't a constant money given to him, right? Is that right? Yeah. So
Yes.
unless it was something that continued to happen, then you can use the word still. But if it was a one-time thing, you can't, it doesn't really make sense. But instead, you can use the word rather or instead because it contrasts or compares what the company did and what the government did. Do you see that? Right? That's what you're trying to say, right? You're saying the company paid for the hospital bills, but not to bring the Indonesian fishermen back into Indonesia. Who paid for it? The Indonesian government. That's what you're telling me. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you can use the word instead or rather to show the contrast or the difference between the company didn't pay for the repatriation. It was the Indonesian government. So you use the word rather or instead. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Moving on. What did you write here? Oh, yes. I actually do not 100% blame. Okay, so you can do 100%, but you also use it in the bottom. So instead, this is not wrong. You can say 100%, or you can write, I do not fully, or I can say, I do not completely, right? These are adverbs, right? Adverbs. Let me write it down here. Okay. I put it in your WhatsApp. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah. I do not fully or I do not completely blame the foreign labor ships that treat Indonesia workers arbitrarily. What do you mean by what do you mean by arbitrarily? What do you mean by that?
Um. Um.
Sure. Well, what is your understanding? What is your understanding of the word arbitrarily? What do you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like. Biodiversity. Yeah, the foreign laborship
Yes.
is treat Indonesian worker like not good like that.
Okay,
Like
so okay, no. Oh, sorry. Do you understand what the word arbitrarily means? Like,
uh,
do you know? Okay, what does this word mean? What's the definition of this word?
um like 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 not good.
Yeah, so no, arbitrarily doesn't mean not good. Arbitrarily means is not consistent.
Mm.
So for example, let's say okay. Um uh let's say, oh, you go to the English church. Oh, no, okay, let's say I'm making up a scenario. It's made up. Okay, I'm imagining. It's my imagination. Let's say
Okay.
let's say the Indonesian church you go to in Hong Kong. Okay.
Mm.
You go there, you have some friends that go there, but for some reason, there's an Indonesian friend you brought, okay? But for some reason, the pastor always treats him extra nice, right?
Oh,
Like spends time with him, gives him a free Bible, do you know what I mean? Gives him like a bank card to buy like, buns, you know what I mean? So in that sense, it's kind of arbitrary. It's like, oh, why is the pastor treating this Indonesian Christian better than
mm,
everyone else? Like it's arbitrary. It's different. And you also don't understand why is he doing that? So that's arbitrarily. That's what I mean. So you can use this word if you understand it. Because in some ways, if you want to say arbitrarily, it
uh,
makes in terms of like this phrase here, the salaries being unclear. But you got to make sure you know what that means.
mm.
And then secondly, if you want to use the word arbitrarily, it's better to put it right before the verb over here. Here. Okay. Before the verb. The verb is here. Treat. To treat. You see that? Right before the verb. Before the verb. Okay. So I do not fully or completely blame foreign labor ships that arbitrarily treat Indonesian workers. But it's actually okay. No, it's actually okay. You can put it in the end too. You can also put it in the end. But I think typically you're supposed to put it right before the verb. But it's okay. Usually we speak this way. The way we speak, we would put the adverb at the very end. But I think in writing you should put it at the beginning of a verb. This is an adverb that is placed in the beginning of the verb, or before the verb, I should say. Okay. The other thing I was going to say is, was it labor ships that treat them this way? What did the article say? Was it labor ships, or because not the ship themselves, right? Was it the ships, or was it the company? Was it the ships or it was a company, right? Or the owners, I guess. Is it the owners?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Or is it the what do you call them? Because it's not the ships though. Because the ship is the actual ship. Do you know what I mean? Like the ship
Yeah.
is not a human being. It's a like how would we call it? We would not call it the ships. We would say involving vessels. Maybe we might say, yeah, what would we say? Would we say the owners? Would we say the managers? What did we say?
Captain.
Captains even? Maybe like something like that. Yeah, I think even I would not blame the foreign labor ship captains. Ship captains, maybe, for example, right? Over here. Ship cap. So this is interesting, right? Because normally if you're mentioning, let's say, the object, you want to put it plural. But then if you're talking about a captain, you would put it in the singular, no S. So let me give an example. An example would be, I'll put it over, I'll delete this. Over here, I might call it, so for example, I would say school teacher, church pastor, hospital, hospital doctor. You see, notice that there's no S here. You see,
Yes.
that would be wrong, right? You don't say because they're a teacher of one school, right? This is the captain of one ship, or it's describing, or even the category of ship, I should say. Does that make sense? So anytime if you say ship captain, it means that they're a captain of a ship, but the word ship doesn't have an S. It's just singular, one. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess the word ship is more describing the category of ship. Ship captains, school teachers. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. That arbitrarily treat Indonesian workers. Their salaries are unclear, comma, their illnesses are not properly treated, comma, they are tortured and even
Yes.
and okay, remember, I want you to change. I think this is fine. This is fine. Except remember what we went through regarding matching. You see, R, R, R. I want you to change this phrase so that it matches R. Remember what I talked to you about matching? Remember, the salaries are, their illnesses are, they are tortured, and
And even even are eh,
and
they
are even what?
are
Are even
uh,
well, it would be nice if you can add another something R, but maybe you can even say they and they even face death, like that. Face death. The reason why you can't put cause death is because there's no subject. Like, what is the subject of this sentence? What is causing death? Where is the subject of this sentence? Do you know what I mean?
oh,
Like, where is the
yes.
subject, right? Like, you would have to say,
Oh, and even they are
yeah, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, the reason why you can't put cause, because you need a subject.
and even they are caused.
Yeah, no, you can't say that. You can't say, no, but who is they, though? Is it the captains? But
Oh,
technically, captains don't cause their death. They may make decisions that may lead to their death, unless do they actually kill them? I don't think so, right? Not directly, right? They don't directly kill them, right? They might put them. Like, I guess the people die because of these things, right? Right?
yes,
They're overworked. They don't treat their illnesses, right? I think one of the men had a cut on his leg because the fish fell on his leg, something like that,
yes,
right? The frozen fish fell on his leg, right? And so if that's not treated, and then it gets like I guess it gets infected, then he might die, right? He might get a disease and die. But I mean, unless the labor captains kill them, then you can't really say they cause death. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Right?
oh,
So that's
oh,
kind of why. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead. You try.
I just want to talk about um the captain yeah, um what treat what like
Like
uh
whipping them? Whipping them?
yeah, punch and what's called and then dead.
Or did they
Yeah,
kill them? Did he kill them though?
yeah, like five, yes.
Yeah. Okay. You
And
know what
just
you can say? They are tortured, and such treatment may even cause death or lead to death. The
oh,
reason
okay, okay.
the reason is because unless there is proof that the captains intended to kill someone is not really causing death per se. When you say lead to death, you're making it one step removed. You know what I mean? Like these aren't like unless they're murdering, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But you're not. But we're not saying that, right? I think they are just kind of terrible people, I guess, right? But they're
Oh,
not like they're not murderers
yes,
per
yes.
se. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So I think in order to be accurate, we have to phrase it in this way. Okay, moving on. I blame the Indonesian government itself more for how they are incompetent. Yeah, this is a good point in managing the country, so that many people do not get decent jobs. So that Indonesian citizens who do not have decent jobs are tempted to work on foreign ships with the lure. This is a great sentence. The only thing I would change is to simplify this phrase, these words here, because this is repeated, right? So then if you repeat it, it becomes redundant. Remember redundant?
Yeah, I
Redundant.
remember.
Redundant, which is redundant. Very long, very long. Yes, very long. I
Uh,
remember. Yeah, very long. Yes, they're very long,
okay,
very
okay.
long. Yeah, redundant. So instead, I might let's see how do we change this sentence here? Let me see. So that many people do not get this. So that many people. Maybe we can say many people without adequate salaries. Simply, you write it simply. They how they income so that many people are without. Sorry, are without. There we go. Are without adequate salaries, so that Indonesian citizens, and then you don't even need the sentence actually. They're without. You can make it simple because sometimes it's more clear if you say something with less words. Like it actually takes a smarter person to say something with less words, and you're saying the same thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, okay.
Like it's kind of like to use a completely random example. It's like, for example, like if you went to, let's say you went to the supermarket to buy groceries, okay, and you went with a friend, and your friend was starting to have an allergic reaction, okay, like really itchy and starting to cough and can't breathe. And you're going to the supermarket and you wanted to ask a worker there, my friend is dying of like choking from an allergic reaction. Is it better for the worker to tell you in like 10 minutes what to do or say the allergy medicine's right there? Right?
Oh,
Like 8
yeah.
words can solve your problem. Same thing in writing. In writing, if you can say the exact same thing with fewer words, it's more effective. Same thing. It's the same concept, okay? All right. So that Indonesian citizens are tempted to work on foreign ship. But other than that, I think that this is a very good sentence. Other than that, okay. In fact, Indonesia is very vulnerable to human trafficking cases. Yeah, exactly. And I think you pointed to the exact reason. It's because people are now they want to find a better life, and maybe some people are greedy, which is what you say at the very end, right? Because you quoted a Bible verse at the very end, and you say, really, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, right? You put that at the very end, didn't you? Right? So I think you're totally right. One of which is the article above about fishermen who were tortured and even lost their lives. Yeah, exactly. One space. In another case, comma, there that is currently oh, I see. In another case, yeah, you can. One way of doing it is you can shorten this and put it in brackets. This is like a side comment, brackets. In another case, currently happening, human trafficking of. Oh, I see. So I think what I would do is this. I would go like this. In another case of human trafficking of Indonesian citizens to Cambodia, currently happening. You see? That's how
Oh,
I edit it. So it sounds cleaner. It's clean. It's more straightforward. Most of the victims who are channeled to Cambodia are recruited by human trafficking syndicates. Okay, they are generally offered jobs. They are, the word is commonly, not generally. Commonly.
Oh,
The reason is because commonly, okay, so let me just put the word here in the dictionary here. This is commonly, okay? Commonly. So commonly, let me write this down. I'm putting it in your notes, okay? In the WhatsApp, okay? This is commonly, and this, I don't know if it means exactly, well, in Indonesia, oh, okay, interesting. In Indonesian, it means the same thing, but in English, it means different, okay? Commonly in English, the dictionary translates it exactly the same way. It's kind of strange, but commonly means that it's something that happens often. It's usual. Generally means the opposite of common is rare. Okay, so here,
oh,
the opposite of common is rare.
Langka.
okay.
Langka. That's the
Right.
opposite. But the opposite of general is specific.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Generally, it's like they generally off, but it's not really generally, it's commonly. That's what you want to say. They are commonly offered jobs with high salaries so that they are tempted due to the lack of job opportunities in Indonesia. Period. New sentence. New sentence. Okay, so here the reason is because here this requires a new sentence because it begins a new idea. Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, got it? Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you that. Write that there. Good. One of the survivors of human trafficking to Cambodia, Rizal, told how his work experience in Cambodia. So okay, so once again, we're gonna fix the berulang problem. Berulang, okay? It's redundant because you have Cambodia twice. So it's already implied that the experience is in Cambodia. So instead, maybe you can say, you can take out this word. One of the survivors of human trafficking, Rizal, told of, okay, so told of, that's the right way to say it. Told of how? Because of is very similar to told, it's very similar to the word about how. I think didn't we add it here? Yeah, about how, up here. Remember about how? About. It is about a certain topic. So here you want to say told of. Where is it here?
Oh.
Told of. Here it is. Okay, good. Told of how his work experience in Cambodia was until he finally managed to escape. Initially, he was offered a job by a recruiter in Thailand and worked in a hotel, but it turned out that after arriving in Thailand, he was transferred to Cambodia. When he arrived, okay, we don't need this because the reason why is because when I'm reading your sentence, you already told me that here. You see?
Oh,
So I already
yeah.
know by the next sentence that his location is Cambodia. So you don't have to repeat it. This is Berulong. That's what I mean. Okay. When he arrived, he was put in a building. Okay. So instead of saying and, this is not wrong, but you can say a bit more clean. This is a using an adverb. Where there were many workers from Indonesia, right? Like you can say and, that's okay. But I think it's change it up. Change it up, have variety, right? Because if it's kind of like, for example, Novi, you like cooking, right? But imagine like every time your friend comes over to your house, you're cooking the exact same dish, right? She's like, oh, it's the same dish. Same thing in writing, but if each time your friend comes, you change the dish a little bit. And then your friend is like, wow, that's interesting. There's variety, right? Same thing in writing. When there's variety, it sounds more interesting. So what you wrote before with the comma and is not wrong, but it's nice to put variety. So you can put where if you like. Okay. Where there were many workers from Indonesia. It turned out that he was forced to work. He was forced to work. This has to be changed because he was forced to work in. He was forced to work. No, it's, I think before talking about the online fraud, I think you should state more concretely um, what you state later, which is the scamming business. Then you put the word scam somewhere. Was there scamming or no? What was it? Uh,
Yes, scamming.
yeah, scam. What did you put? I remember reading it later on in your essay here. What was it? It was yeah. Anyway, but I mean, you don't have to, we don't have to find that. My point is that I think you was forced to work in online fraud for a scamming business or something like that. An online fraud. It's not wrong, but the thing is, it sounds how do I say this? Because there's a little bit of something missing in this sentence because everything you described here in what Rizal was saying was very concrete, right? It's a concrete, like it's a very concrete. It's very concrete. Okay. Right? It's
Okay.
concrete because it's like, you know, he's going to, you know, he's in Cambodia, he's in a building. But then you say online fraud is very general, right? It's very like it's a general idea. But then I think that's why like it's more what you wrote is not wrong, but I think from a storytelling perspective, it's like Cambodia, building, scamming business. Like these are specific things rather than, you know, because online fraud is like it's like an industry. It's a type of work. Yeah. Every day, comma, he was monitored and had to set a computer to cheat, to scam people,
Okay.
scam people. What's the difference? To cheat, I think it's because it's to cheat. The word cheat has too many definitions. Okay, so let me show you, for example. Let me show you here on dictionary.com. Cheat. Cheat can mean cheat or cheated something. Uh, cheat. Yeah. So it's too like the reason is because when you're talking about scams, it's very clear what that is, right? For example, cheat can be like cheat has too many. It's not specific enough, right?
Yes.
Or you can make yeah, it's still not if you want to say cheat, you have to use other words like maybe cheat. You can say maybe cheat people from their money or something like that. But cheat, the thing is, cheat is a little bit more general, but scam is very clear. Like scam, I know
Okay.
exactly what you're talking about. Scamming is about basically what you're describing in these articles. I read these articles too. It's a terrible thing, right? But cheat, for example, you can cheat in an exam, right? Uh,
Okay.
a a wife can cheat on her husband, right? Right? Cheating.
Okay.
It's called cheating, right? So the word cheat has a lot of meanings, but scam only means this. Like
Okay.
it's what you're describing from these news articles. Okay. So scam is probably a more clear word to scam people and was required to achieve the specific. No, you don't want to say target. I know what you mean. I know what you're trying to say. I think you mean quota. Quota,
Quota.
right?
Oh,
Quota. Let me see
yes.
what the is that right? You want to say quota? Is that right?
Yes.
Quota,
Yes. Yes.
right? It is, yeah, quota. That's what I thought. Because when I'm reading it, I can tell by the context or by what you're writing what you want to say. But you want to use the right word. It's quota, or how do you say it in
Quota.
quota? It's very similar. Okay, good. So you want to say quota, yeah. Not
Okay.
target, not target. Um,
Okay.
the reason is because target is very similar to over here. The word cheat. It's too
Oh.
general, too general,
Okay.
right? You want
Okay.
to be more concrete and specific. Okay. If not, everyone who failed would be tortured by being electrocuted, and even beaten until bruised, or even beaten until bruised. Yeah, okay. Some until bruised, bruising. There's different ways of saying to the point of bruising. There's different ways of saying the same thing. These are all different options. Some were even critically ill and taken to the hospital, but their internal organs were sold. Yeah, that's terrible, right? They're trying to make money. It was really terrible. Yeah. However, even though there have been many victims, there are still many people who are interested in going to the country. And then, you know, And then to make it even more powerful, you don't have to write this, but there was something I was thinking. I might add something like, that is the power of greed. You know, it's the power of greed. You want to make so much money, you don't care. You can be tortured, you can die. It doesn't matter. Money. It's money. I want more money, you know? So I might say like, that's the power of greed. Like, I don't know, but you don't have to write that. That's just my own thinking. Finally, the Indonesian and Cambodian governments work together to agree on a letter of intent document. That's good. From this agreement, both parties agree that there needs to be a placement of Indonesian government representatives in Cambodia to strengthen coordination and cooperation. Did you write all this by yourself with your own thinking? That's really good.
Yes.
It's really good. It's really good writing. Yeah. Great writing. This is really good. It's very clear. In the field of immigration as an effort to combat human trafficking by exchanging information. In an effort to prevent immigration, Indonesia is tightening and screening people who will go abroad, especially to Thailand, and Cambodia. The reason why you got to put "and" is because the list is over, right? Like if you want to put comma, you're listing more than 2 countries. Let's say Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia, right? But if there's only 2, you got to put "and." Yeah, you have to put the word "and," okay? Because the list is over. You're finishing the list. And these efforts are expected to reduce the number of victims as the government continues to educate Indonesian citizens about
Oh, okay.
human trafficking. Yeah, something like that. So that's good. Yeah, I think this is really good. Maybe I'll kind of end it here, but I thought it was really well, this paragraph, and the next one was really well written.